Shloka, second chapter, first section, Shloka number 1 and 2. When the human being is designed, okay, the sense organs are outward looking. The human sense organs are for interacting with the outer world. Naturally, for most of the people or for all the people, the sense objects overpower them. The outer world overpowers them. Okay. By nature, the mind and sense organs are outgoing because there is attraction outside. There is a threat also. So you see outside something good is happening, something bad is happening. There is a threat. There is some joy. So the sense organs are by nature outwardly directed. The mind is also by nature outgoing through sense organs. Very rare indeed, some people discover that the futility of the joy obtained through sense organs. Such a person is courageous, dhira. Why is called courageous? Because tendency of all the people is to go outwards and grab the sense objects. Okay, they'll seek one joy after the other joy, one joy after other joy, and no joy which is obtained through sense organs is satisfying fully. The moment you experience something, the craving for another experience opens up. The moment you experience happiness, sorrow opens up. So that's nothing which is available in the sense world is permanent, because everything is temporary, everything is constantly changing. Most of people think that sense objects are giving pleasure, sense objects are giving happiness. What they don't realize, that mechanism of happiness, our mind getting agitated is unhappiness, and our mind calming down is called happiness. Mind calms down, it's called happiness. So what happens when the mind, let's say I'm giving an example, I want to eat a jalebi, a sweet. So the mind constantly thinks of it, I want jalebi, I want jalebi. The thoughts are generated. When the thoughts are generated, in the nervous system and the body, a lot of chemicals are generated, because every thought is associated with a chemical in the body. This creates a stress in the body, mind. And this stress is called suffering in some way. We may not, I'm giving a simple example of jalebi, it means many other things. It can be money, it can be girl, it can be boy, it can be marriage, it can be divorce, many things. The continuous thought process in the mind creates a stress in the nervous system and the body. And this stress translates to chemicals in the nervous system and the body, and that causes stress. That's what we call as stress. Okay. So then he is looking for jalebi, and once he gets the jalebi, he puts into his mouth. And during that short duration, when the jalebi is put into his mouth, the mind has become silent. Okay, the mind has become silent. The thoughts have reduced, and because the mind has become silent, the consciousness, which is Atma, whose nature is bliss, is reflected fully in the mind. Reflected in the mind. Happiness is reflected in the mind. Happiness is not mind's property. Mind can never be happy. Happiness is not mind's property. Happiness is acquired by the mind because of consciousness. The consciousness is reflected in the mind as happiness. So the moment mind is silent, happiness is reflected. So then we lose a sense of boundary. Happiness means I don't have a sense of boundary. I feel unlimited briefly. So then again the thoughts come in the mind. Oh, I am happy, thought comes into mind. The moment thoughts come into the mind, the stress starts building up. Moment the mind is silent, the happiness is reflected in the mind by the happiness of the self. So the key to happiness is not an object. Jalebi was the trigger. Really the mind became silent, and then in that silence of the mind happiness was reflected. So the key to happiness is not jalebi. Key to happiness is silence of the mind. So only a person who is wise one, who is courageous one, will start seeking the happiness directly from the source of happiness, Atma, rather than indirectly getting from the sense objects. It is like eating food. You can eat food directly, or you can eat food like this. So if you are able to get happiness directly from the self, why you are struggling with the objects of the world? So such a person turns his mind inwards and goes towards the self. And such a person is the wise man, wise one, and such a person is the courageous one. Because to get any happiness in the world, there's a lot of effort is required. Okay, there's a stress internally, there's an effort also is required. Nothing comes out of free. And the effort causes further stress. So somebody is able to, who understands this, can relax into his nature of self and attain that eternal happiness and peace inside.